Hey everybody, welcome to Between the Lions, an oral history of the ongoing mission by the musical collective known as My Soul Among Lions to put all 150 psalms from the Bible to music, divided into bite-sized bi-weekly chunks. My name is Nathan Alberson, your humble and obedient host, lyricist, sometimes rejected lyricist for My Soul Among Lions. Today we are joined once again, as we were a couple weeks ago, by Pastor Phil Moyer, one of the architects of the project.
Wow.
And another great contributor to My Soul Among Lions, lyricist, sometimes rejected lyricist, CEO of Warhorn Media, where My Soul Among Lions lays their weary head to rest. Jacob Metzel, Pastor Jacob Metzel.
Hey, how you doing, Nathan?
I'm doing well. Guys, today we are going to talk about a song that actually predates My Soul Among Lions. Psalm 1, How Blessed is the Man. Now, if people have the first album, My Soul Among Lions, did that album have a name besides volume
Psalms
1? Psalms 1 through 10.
10, yeah.
Yeah. This song actually appears near the end of the album. Like we go through 1 through 10, and then we have some kind of, I guess
We have a bonus disc.
A bonus
like
side.
a B-sides.
B-sides. Although I think some of them are A-sides, including this one. This is a really great song. This is the one that goes, "How blessed is the man who does not walk in the strength of the wicked." And this song predates My Soul Among Lions.
Mm-hmm.
So where did this song come from, and what do you guys remember about it?
I think it goes back to 2013. So My Soul Among Lions started 2015. So yeah, this song was written a couple years before that by Jody. So this was back in the days of the Good Shepherd Band.
The Good Shepherd Band.
Well, if you think about it, I mean, we started out as more along the lines of like Indelible Grace and what was that down in Alabama? Red Mountain
Music.
You know, a part of the hymn revitalization project that a lot of people were doing.
Right.
Moving away from a lot of the light, fluffy evangelical praise songs to rediscovering and revitalizing a lot of the old hymns. The next logical step for us as we begin to develop in our church just a deeper theology and philosophy of worship was to turn to the Psalms. So this is one of the first attempts in that direction. What My Soul Among Lions came about after the guys had done several different psalm settings. Psalm 1, Psalm 10, a couple
130,
130, one in the 70s.
76.
Psalm 8.
76.
There's a Psalm 8 that never actually made it onto a My Soul Among Lions album.
Yeah, which was, we'll have to talk about.
Right.
3.
Okay,
but
Psalm 3 and Psalm 8, I think both by David Pryor.
No, 8 was Jody, and
How does
3
that-
was Pryor.
How does that
3
8 go?
by David Pryor was the one that was sort of set up as the standard for a long time of what a good psalm setting should be.
Right.
We'll talk about that when we get to Psalm 3, because the fun story there is that the Psalm 3 that you may know was in the reject pile for months and months and months because it didn't measure up in a lot of people's minds to David's Psalm 3, which we'll probably just have to play for people on the podcast.
Yeah, I think we should. Yeah, it's funny how often that happens, though. I think we'll end up talking a lot about, well, we never liked this until it became the greatest thing ever.
Yeah, Psalm 3 is the greatest hit of, I mean, if you check all the stats, it's
our biggie. It's our...
Yeah, and we'll talk about, I mean, that song was in the reject pile for months.
Right.
I don't know how many times. I don't want to...
I think Jake wants to talk about Psalm 3.
Well, I just want I want everybody to know that I'm the hero of the story,
Right.
who just kept insisting that psalm was worth doing.
Yeah.
And,
come on, you guys, we can do this one.
no, it stinks, Jake. You're an idiot. No, I'm not. No, it's kind of great.
Yeah, no, we will tell the stories, and we will all be heroes and villains in our places in this.
I'll be a villain for sure
in the ongoing saga. But today we're talking about Psalm 1.
Well, I think part of the reason that one ended up on a B-side at the start is because the Good Shepherd Band had a real rock and roll vibe to it.
Very true.
And Psalm 1 was written with more of a rock and roll vibe. This particular Psalm 1 was written that direction. So was Psalm 10, which predated the project. When we were trying to figure out, these songs, these psalms, these things that we were writing, a lot of what we were trying to do, actually build a project that had a cohesive feel. And that was something that also felt approachable to people in smaller churches. Like, I could do this with the guitar. I could do this with just the piano.
Right.
And
that was a huge concern for us.
When you do a great big rock song, it doesn't matter if you can strip it all down to an acoustic guitar. It feels intimidating, like you can't live up to it without a full band. And not a lot of churches have that.
Right.
And so we really wanted this project to feel as stripped down as possible while still feeling compelling, to feel like, hey, you can grab an acoustic guitar and do this sort of thing.
What I remember becoming kind of a weird, morbid talking point at the time was, one day you're going to die, Nathan. You're going to be laying on your deathbed, and you're going to want to sing these songs. And if a full band has to come to the hospital, it's not going to work. You want a guy with an acoustic. You want the people around your deathbed to be able to sing these songs with an acoustic guitar.
Or a cappella.
Or a cappella, which is actually a pretty good way of thinking about it. I mean, it was funny. I remember we ended up just accepting this notion, which is a good notion to accept, that you want to be able to sing a song like this on your deathbed. And we would argue about, well, like, does this one work a cappella? And in the back of our minds, it would always be like, when I die, are we going to be able to pull this off?
And so it didn't feel like this one hit that standard. And so there was another attempt that we'll talk about in a couple weeks, I'm sure. But this one, and then Psalm 10, the Psalm 10 of the album had to be really redesigned, right?
Exactly.
Rearranged completely in order to hit that vibe. And now we've since released it as the full straight ahead rock song that it was always meant to be. Which I think that listeners will appreciate because it's way better that way.
Yep, agreed.
But yeah, I think even the version on this album is still stripped down. It's not as rock and roll as it was written, right? It's got some, and the way that you did that is sub out the electric guitar for the banjo, and
we didn't give it as much of a big drum, backbeat going. It's still there.
Well, even a lot of these songs, I think the logic, if I remember talking to Jody or you at some point about this, was if all the songs have a build, so if it can start a cappella, if it can start acoustic, if it can start with just the piano,
you can at least prove
that it can be done that way, and then we can build to something cool later and show all the things that this song can do. Right. So a lot of those songs, especially early songs, follow a similar building pattern like that.
And obviously we're not always successful at making the most singable song.
No.
We strive to, and
it's always...
I think you'll find a handful that are.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and I think it's important, especially when you're starting a project like this, you have to be careful to define who you are. You have to be self-controlled in a way that you actually don't have to later on. You can allow yourself to be more elastic on the third album than you can on the first, because on the third album, the standard has been set. And once the standard has been set, you can start to find creative and fun ways to deviate, because you kind of know what your limits are and you know how far you can deviate before you have to come back.
And you've learned what people respond to and what they don't.
Right, precisely. So when you're starting out any kind of creative project, be it a novel, be it a TV show, be it a podcast, be it anything, you want to kind of establish the boundaries first, and then you can start having fun with those boundaries. So I think on this first album, I don't know if we went back to it that we'd do everything the same way. We might allow ourselves more license in certain places, but it was good at the time to just say, this is what it sounds like, this is what we're doing.
Keep it simple.
Keep it folk, and keep it playable for people that are listening.
I think it's one of the dark horses of the album, though.
Yeah, no, I love it.
Hiding away on that backside.
I love it. We sometimes sing this in church, and I'm always excited when it gets dusted off, because I just think it's a good song, and it's one of those songs that kind of sticks with me, gets caught in my head, and then I'm like, how blessed, in the law he meditates. I'll go through my week doing that, and then I'll be like, I should meditate in the law. That reminds me, I should read my Bible. It's one of the most helpful ones.
It's helpful.
Yeah, it's just. Well, it's helpful precisely because it's so simple, and it's just got this repeated, hey, Nathan, don't forget to read your Bible. Don't forget to read. That's basically what the chorus does, which is really nice, actually.
I think it might be worth noting just that in this psalm, you don't have a chorus necessarily that pops out at you.
Right.
It's a 6-verse psalm, pretty much just straight through. Some psalms you might have a repeating section or something that just screams chorus.
Yeah.
But here we have, what Jody did was he brought out that theme in the law, I'll meditate. And
Yeah, that's a choice that Jody made that wasn't necessarily evident in the psalm itself.
Well, the psalm's, 6 verses total?
Yeah.
It's pretty simple. Making those kinds of choices, they are choices.
Yeah,
they aren't always inevitable.
It's one of the challenges, of putting the psalms. If you just took it as it was, well, it might be a good hymn, but to have something, like you're saying, you get this thing going in your head throughout the week in the law. Oh, I need to meditate. That'd be hard to do without a chorus like that. And so it's one of the ways that we take some liberties. And
well, that's something that people need to be aware of is we have to make interpretive choices when we're setting these songs, and it would be easy to put out the press that says, these are just direct, perfect encapsulations of what every psalm says in the Bible, and certainly that's the goal, but we're choosing, like, what is the emphasis in this psalm? What do we think? And so we have to use discernment, and you should use discernment as you listen to these things, and you should go back to the original psalm, and you should look at it, and you should think, I wonder why they did that and what they were thinking, and I think hold us to a high standard. You're allowed to go back to the Bible. You just have to accept that we had it all figured out. And that's why we always say this, part of why we're doing this podcast is to talk about the process and inspire other people to do the same thing and to do us one better and to write even better versions of the Psalms.
Well, and I would say that even our philosophy has changed. We started out really wanting being really stressed about making every single song as singable as, this is really going to work great in corporate worship, the way that whatever our standards were. And part of what we discovered along the way is not everything that we thought was going to work great in corporate worship worked, and things that we didn't think were going to work. And we're not going to come up with a definitive new Psalter. What we need to do is write songs that we love, write treatments of these Psalms that we love, that we can at the least say, we love the Psalms, we love this song, and we think you should too. And we hope they help you love the Psalms. And we hope some of these you can find your way to singing in worship. And I think that allowed us to take a more humble, workman-like approach to this sort of thing, and a more creative approach, and to do things, take other kinds of risks. We know that this is never going to be sung in corporate worship, but that's okay. If somebody listening at home can love this psalm or understand it better, or be inspired to write the version for corporate worship, then great, we've done our job.
Yes, we will get to some songs in this series that I think we will talk about how they're not really intended, but we'll let you think about that, dear listener. What songs do you think we weren't intending for public worship? There's one that I can think of, and I'll give you a hint. It's like 10 minutes long or something like that.
Most awesome one.
and it's awesome. One of my favorites, and it's going to be a long time before we get to talk about it on this podcast.
Take your guess.
And we've done it in public worship, if I'm not mistaken, and it was awesome. But generally speaking, you wouldn't just dust that one off on a Sunday morning. Anyway, let's listen to How Blessed is the Man, Psalm 1. Thanks, guys. See you in a couple weeks.
How blessed is the man who does not walk in counsel of the wicked, and where the boastful sinners talk will he refuse to stand. He doesn't join with men who scoff, he dare not even sit among them. But his delight is in God's law, it is his hope and prayer. And the law he meditates, and the law he meditates, and the law he meditates, in the night and in the day. Like a tree that's rooted by the streams of living water, that bears in season its good fruit for other souls to share. Its leaves won't die away or wither, all he tries to do will prosper, for his delight is in God's law, it is his hope and prayer. La are not so. They're like the chaff the autumn winds will scatter. When judgment starts to blow, they'll feel the fury of the day. The righteous God will know, he'll see them on to everlasting harbor. The wicked, though not so, God's wrath will drive them far away. And the law he meditates, in the law he meditates, and the law he meditates. In the night and in the day, in the law he meditates, in the law he meditates, in the law he meditates. In the night and in the day.
Hey, if you like this song and you want to buy it, you can buy it on iTunes or Amazon or Bandcamp, all over the place. You can go right now and listen to it on Spotify or Apple Music. Wherever you get your music, it's there. If you want charts, lead sheets, it's all available for free at clearnotesongbook.com. And if you want to support this work and get access to great new content as we write and produce new songs, go to patreon.com/MSAL, where you can sign up for as little as a cup of coffee a month. And right now, for the entire month of October, every one-time gift at warrenmedia.com gets you two things. It gets you a download of Tim Bayly's latest book, Church Reformed, in all of its e-text variations, and it gets you the latest full-length album from My Soul Among Lions, Song of the King, Volume 3, Psalms 21 through 30. So if you want all 10 of those Psalms 21 through 30 and a full-length studio album package, right now, a one-time gift in any amount at warrenmedia.com. Go, make it happen.